this tutorial and workshop was organised because I've had a number of people approach me, particularly mentors, and that saying, look, we've just got some equipment, we've been trying out because we want to compete in the competition this year, but you know, we can get it to follow a line or something, but we're really getting stuck on some of the advanced level stuff, such as finding the shortcuts, or once you've gone into the chemical spill area for the rescue category, they don't know what to do next. So I thought rather than try and provide some individual tutorial, I would get the expert who, put it this way, everyone knows Damien, but who they don't. Damien has a PhD in robotics. He taught me the rules 13 years ago when we first started the competition here. He's been as chairman and secretary and various positions on the RoboCupJunior Australia board. He sits in some of the Lego development board and does a lot of educational robotics workshops. So for those schools who may be interested in doing more with the Lego robotics, but not just about the competition, but some of the other things. I know in Rockhampton, while we're waiting, we're talking about maybe temperature sensors and various other things that you can get. So there's a whole plethora of sensors and equipment that you can use to help education, particularly with the Lego equipment. But that's enough from me. Thank you, Damien, for attending in Brisbane and for running this workshop. And you know, it is a fairly open sort of a tutorial. We do welcome questions and comments, and don't be afraid to ask. So thanks, Damien.
All right, guys, we're going to make a start. Like Jason says, if you've got any questions, stick your hand up and let me know. We are going to go through this stuff. There's going to be a fair amount of information I'm going to dump on you today. So don't stress too much if you don't pick it up all straight away. We're going to record this session. It's all been recorded, so you can come back and look at it later on. I'll give you a chance every now and then to have a bit of a play with some of the stuff that we're doing. But we're going to start off with a little bit of a line follower, just to get started. Now, you should have all brought along a robot that's got a couple of light sensors. Can I get you guys just to hold them up and wave them around? If you have brought a robot that's got a... Excellent. Good, good, good. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is just straight line following. There's a couple of different ways of doing line following. I'm going to take you through one of the easiest ways just to get started. The way we're going to start is just with a single light sensor. Let me just, all right. So, firstly, what we're going to do, document cam, there we go. You all have either an NXT or an EV3. I'll get you guys just to turn them on now. To do line following, you need to be able to recognize the line. And the nice thing about a line is that a line reflects different amounts of different colors. So I'm going to get you please to grab one of your light sensors and plug it into your device. Just grab a cable. Now, you all look very, very tiny to me, so I'm just going to get you guys, just wave your arms madly if you have used the light sensor before. Wave your arms madly if you've used the light sensor before. All right, now wave your arms madly if you've never used the light sensor before. One, but you're in a room with people that have? All right, excellent. So what we're going to do, firstly, we're going to get ourselves some readings. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set myself up a little bit of a line here. So here is my black line that I'm going to follow. It's pretty crude, and I can see in the video that in the video feed that you guys have brought your own, either printed out or a bit of masking tape or something like that. What we're going to do, I want you please to grab your device, and we're going to bring up the view menu. So there are two different ways we can do that. If you're in an NXT, let me get that. All right. So if you're in an NXT, we're going to scroll across until you find the view menu. Select the view menu. Scroll until you find the one that says reflected light. And then it's going to ask what port are you connected to, and we're going to say port 1. So I'm going to grab a cable here and pop it onto a light sensor like that, and I'm going to select port 1. And you'll notice instantly that there's some red light coming out of that. So that's with the NXT. With the EV3, slightly different. So with the EV3 across the top, we've got our 4 tabs. We've got play, 2 bits of paper, 6 circles, and a spanner. We're going to go across to our 6 circles. In our 6 circles, find the one that says port view. It should be the top option. Inside that top option, you can then have a look and see what's plugged into your EV3 device. So I'm just going to plug this one in here. and you'll see again some red light coming out. So the way that the light sensor works, what it does, it shines lots and lots of red light out. Depending on the surface that it's touching or the surface that it's looking at, different amounts of that red light are going to be reflected back. So if I just put this little sensor down and hold it over the white here, I can see the number 33, 34. What that's telling me is that about 34% of that red light is shining down onto the white and then being reflected straight back up onto the sensor. However, when I move it across the black there, I can see that number is dropping down because that black line is reducing the amount of red light that's going to be reflected back. So I want you guys to please have a go at that. Grab your robot, set up the port view. I just want you to have a wander around and get some readings for the black line that you're trying to follow and the white field, either in the EV3 or with the NXT. All right, and once you start getting those numbers, I want you please to just start calling out some numbers for me. So I'm going to start with white. What kind of numbers were people getting for white? Call it out.
22.
22.
22 for white.
70.
70 for white.
88 for white.
88 for white.
Another 70 here.
Another 70.
So we've got 3 70s here.
Wow, that's pretty good. Anyone else want to call out what they're getting for white?
59.
59.
40.
40. Excellent. Now let's have a look at some black values. Call out the numbers you're getting for black.
50.
50 for black.
43.
43.
3.
3.
A 9, Damien.
9.
7.
7.
And a 7 here as well.
And a 7. All right, so we'll take with those numbers there. You'll see those numbers are all over the shop. The big thing to take from this is that every single light sensor is slightly different, and it all depends on the surface that you're reflecting off. I've got a nice shiny whiteboard here. That whiteboard shines back a lot of that red light. However, if you're running off something like masking tape, which isn't as shiny, perhaps that doesn't reflect as much. So the thing to learn here is that whenever you're doing this line following things, you need to keep testing with your numbers with your robot. You do not want to go and run over across to someone else's computer and say, oh, they're using the number 37, so we need to use the number 37, because it's not going to work for your robot. You need to take your measurements. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my numbers. What I'll get you guys to do is just to substitute in your results. So if I have a look, and I'm just going to use my EV3 today, because most people today have got an EV3, and if I just have a look here, I'm getting white as 63, and I'm getting black as 40. Now I'm going to round that out a little bit, so I'm going to say white is 63, and black equals 40. Let me round it out. I'm going to say 60 and 40. So what we've got here is the robot can take these measurements and they can figure out what the numbers are. But what we want to do is try and to teach the robot how to actually tell the difference between the black and the white. So let's suppose that my robot gave me a reading. It was just driving along and it saw the number 60. Is that black or white? Call it out.
White.
It's going to be white. What happens if it sees 59? What's it going to be?
White.
It's probably still going to be white. What about 58?
White.
Probably still going to be white. What happens if it reads 40?
Black.
Black.
What about 41?
Black.
42?
Black.
Black.
So we're trying to tell the robot there's black and there's white. There's no grey. There's no getting close to black. There's black or there's white. According to the robot, when would black turn into white? What number? Based on my numbers
50.
up here.
51.
Mine's going to be around about
50.
around about 50. And we call this a threshold. If my robot reads any number above 50, what does that mean it's on?
White.
It's going to be on white. If I read any number below 50, what's it most likely to be on?
Black.
Black. So all we can do is we can say to the robot, okay, take a measurement. If you're greater than 50, you must be on white. If you're less than 50, you must be on black. So this way we use this one number, this threshold number, to try and tell the difference between two different values. We're trying to tell the difference between white and we're trying to tell the difference between black. Now, to do our line following, there are lots of ways of doing line following. You can do it with one light sensor, two light sensors. I've seen some big industrial robots done with 27 light sensors. We're going to start off with just a one light sensor line follow. And the way that this works is I'm just going to have my robot here. And if it sees the black line, I'm going to make it turn to the left. And if it sees the white background, I'm going to make it turn back to the right. So as the robot drives along, it's always making a decision, and it's got to choose either one of two different things. Can I see white? Can I see black? If I see black, turn to the left. If I see white, turn to the right. And what will happen is this robot will do that wiggle all the way down. Who's seen that wiggle in a line following robot before? Wave your hands around madly if you've seen that. Yes. So that is one of the most common ways of doing line following. So let's flick across to some software. Hopefully you've opened up some software. Let me just go across to this. I'm going to do this in both EV3 and NXT. I'll start off with the EV3 one. So with the EV3 one, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using, can everyone here see my computer? Yes? Wave your hands if you can see my computer. Excellent. So we're going to use what's called a decision block. The decision block is called a switch block. So I'm going to come down here into the orange blocks. I'm going to choose this one just here, which is called a switch. And what the switch does, like I said before, this is a decision. We take a measurement and then we make a decision based on it. At the moment, our decision is based on a touch sensor. What kind of decision do we want to do for this particular robot? Anyone call it out?
Color sensor.
Color sensor. So it's going to be a color sensor. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare against some reflected light. Because remember we were talking about how much that light gets reflected back up? So we're going to choose that one there. So this one is now saying, take a measurement based on a particular port. My light sensor is connected to port 1. And then make a decision based on, is it less than? Can everyone see that little less than symbol? So with that little less than symbol there, let me just zoom in a little bit. This little less than symbol, it's saying less than a particular amount. Now I know that my threshold was 50, is what I calculated before, so I'm going to leave that 50 in there. If it is less than 50, so see the tick mark up there that says yes, it is less than 50. If it's less than 50, is that black or white? If my robot takes a measurement less than 50, is that black or is that going to be white?
Black.
Exactly, black. What did I say I wanted the robot to do?
One.
Turn to the left. So let's put in a turn to the left. Grab and move steering. Drop it in there. How far do we want to turn? How many rotations should I put in here? When it sees the black line, how much should it turn by? One rotation? 6 rotations? 27 rotations? How far should the robot do?
One rotation.
Why one rotation?
Otherwise, it'll go too far.
Okay, what happens if one rotation is too much?
And I'll go straight over the line.
Exactly, we might miss it completely. So with this one here, we don't want to say turn for one rotation. As we're turning on the black line, turning away from the black line, when does the robot know to stop turning from the black line?
When it sees the white.
When it sees white, yeah, it doesn't turn for one rotation. It keeps turning until it sees white. So I'm going to change this. I'm not going to set this on rotations. I'm going to set this and just say on. And I want to turn to the left. So I'm going to do in this case here, I'm going to do a minus 50. That gives me kind of a gentle turn. I don't want too sharp a turn. I don't want too gentle a turn. A 50 turn is probably a good one to choose there. So if this one is doing a 50 turn to the left, what should I do if I don't have a value less than 50? So the little cross there means it's not less than 50. If it's not less than 50, is that black or white?
White.
That's going to be white. So what do I want to do in this case if it's white?
Turn right.
I want to turn right.
This is for the other one.
So that's going to be a 50 turn. So I have a minus 50 turn, and I have a 50 turn. So if we look at this program, we start the program, we take a reading. We decide, is it either yes, it is less than 50, or no, it is not less than 50. We turn either left or we turn right. Once we finish here, that's the program done. All finished. Instead, we want to keep coming back and loop back to the start. So we can do this over and over and over again. Take a measurement, turn left or right. Loop back to the start, take another measurement, turn left or right. Loop back to the start, take another measurement, loop back to the start. And so on. So can you see how this loop will just keep going and going and going and going? And it'll just follow that line all the way along. What I want you to do, please, people that are doing EV3, I want you to put this one together. Wave your hands madly if you're using NXTs today. All right, so for those people doing NXTs, let's flick across to the NXT programming language. NXT works exactly the same way. The ideas are exactly the same, it just looks a little bit different. So let me maximize this. I'm going to start a new program. This bottom one down the bottom here is our switch. This is our decision block. So I'm going to put that decision block in there. What do we want to make the decision based on?
Light.
It's going to be a light sensor. Within our NXT, can you see how there's a bright sun and a dark sun?
Yep.
So the bright sun says I can see a high value, and the dark sun says I can see a low value. If I can see a high value, what does that mean?
White.
Is that black or white?
White.
That's going to be white. What did I say I wanted to do?
Follow black.
If it's white, we're going to turn towards the black line, which is turning to the left. So I'm going to take that all the way across, and then I'm going to bring it back one little notch. That's the tricky thing with the NXTs. Take that steering all the way across, and then bring it back one little notch. And how far do I need to turn? What sort of duration do I want to go? Which one of these do I want to choose?
Unlimited.
It's going to be unlimited.
Unlimited.
Because I don't know, I just keep turning until I see the white line.
No, you said do it and then take
We'll
it back a little.
drop the power level down as well. 100's a little bit too fast. We're going to start off nice and slow. We're just going to make it 30% power. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom here. But what's going to be the difference with this one?
It's gonna see the dark.
This one's going to see the dark. So we're going to choose unlimited. And this time we're going to turn to the right. So all the way across. And then one slight notch. I'm going to make this 30% power. All right. Do I need anything else with this one here for NXTs?
No.
Oh, I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting?
The dark numbers, the percentage.
The percentage.
For each.
Percentage is right in here. What was my percentage again?
50.
50. So I don't have to change mine. You will have to change yours, though. Don't forget the loop as well.
Mine
So
says
I'm going to
70.
pop that loop there, and I'm going to drag that and drop that inside. So this allows us to keep running that one over and over again. All right, you have 5 minutes to put together this little line follower and see how it goes. If you can direct your camera down to your line if possible, I'd love to see how they're going. Oh, I can see a robot following a line there.
Can you please show again how to loop with the EV3?
So loop with the EV3. is this block just here. So if I do that all again, let me take that outside the loop. Delete the loop there. So I'm firstly going to, and then I'm going to drag that one inside the loop. All right, I can see one robot following that line quite nicely. Yeah, it's coming off every now and then. With all this line following stuff that we're doing, there are many, many different ways of doing it. So just because I'm showing you this one particular way, doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. Oh, I can see another robot following a line. Excellent. How are we going in Gladstone?
Sounds good.
One's good? Brendan, how are you guys going?
Oh, we're getting there, Damien. Not too bad.
Good.
So this has been realised working well.
Very, very
At
slow.
30%. Because it's a tank.
Is it working?
Yeah.
100.
All right. Wave your hands madly if it's not following the line. Everyone got a line following working? Excellent. So that is our absolute basics of getting a robot to follow a line. The next step is how do we make it better? All right, here we go. Following a line with one light sensor is not too bad, but this is what we call an edge follower. You're not actually following the line, you're following the edge, and it's either going either between black or white. A better way to follow the line is to use two light sensors. So, coming back to this here, I'm going to set up two light sensors. I'm going to grab myself another cable. All right, so what I have now is two light sensors. Two light sensors with enough distance to apart them so that it goes either side of my line. And what I want my robot to do now is to follow down. And every time that that hits, I want it to correct. And every time that that one hits the line, I want to correct it back to the center. This gets a little bit trickier with our programming.
Damien, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there any good distance apart? Like, would you prefer it to have, say, 10 mil space in either side or 5 or make it wider? Is there any advantage by having a narrow or a wider sort of spacing between the two sensors?
Each of them have their own benefits. So let me just start by doing a really, really wide one. If you've got a really, really wide one, like this, fair way apart, when the line starts to curve around, let me just do a curvy line around. My lovely artwork. When the line starts to curve around, you're better off getting that line curving. However, when you're on a straight, you're going to bounce a lot more from side to side. So there's a real trade-off, and there is no perfect value, unfortunately. You just have to test it with your robot to see which one works best with your robot on the mazes that you're trying to do. So unfortunately, I can't give you a solid answer on that one. Let me just move mine a little bit closer together. So what we need to do now is try and figure out how we can use both the light sensors to make the robot follow the line. So there we go, either side as we go along. When we were using just one light sensor, so when we had just one light sensor, we knew we were either on black or we were on white. That one light sensor could either be on black or it could be on white. If it was on black, we said turn to the left. If it was on white, we said turn to the right. Now, however, we have two light sensors. So let's suppose I've got a light sensor on port 1 and I've got a light sensor on port 2. So with this one now here, light sensor 1 can see white and light sensor 1 can also see black. Light sensor 2 can see white, and light sensor 2 can see black. So if light sensor 1 sees white, can we decide what we want the robot to do based on just what light sensor 1 sees? Or do we need more information?
More info.
information.
What's the other information that we need?
We need one sensor two. Because
Yeah, we needed to do sensor 2 as well.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to make an assumption. Let's suppose light sensor 1 sees white and light sensor 2 also sees white. So there we go. They're either side of the line. They both see white. What should my robot do? Straight ahead. Straight ahead. If light sensor sees 1, what's the other? Light sensor 1 sees white. What is the other possible combination that could be there?
black.
White, black.
White and black. So what that means now is light sensor 1 sees white, but light sensor 2 has drifted across and is now seeing black. What do I want my robot to do in this case here?
Turn right.
Turn to the right. So we got white, 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 black. What do you think the next combination is going to be?
Black,
Black,
black, white.
Black, white. Is there any other combinations?
Black, black.
Black, black.
Black. If I see black, white, what should my robot do?
Turn left.
If I see black, black, what should my robot do?
Straight.
Go straight. For the moment, we're just going to say stop the robot. All right, if it sees black, black, it's probably hit something like an intersection. We just want to stop the robot. So now, before we had 2 different things we could do, we now have 4 different things, 4 different options. What we need to do is, with our software, figure out how we can get into each one of those 4. All right, so this time I'm going to start with the NXT software. So let me back to here. So with the NXT software, currently this makes a single decision based on port 1. I'm going to get rid of that and rid of that for the moment. So now, if port 1 sees white, I'm going to do this instruction. If port 1 sees white, what should the next thing I need to do be? Do I have enough information from port 1?
No.
No. So what do I need to do? What do I need to do once I've figured out port 1 sees white? I need to figure out what...
You need to figure out what the other one sees.
Yeah.
Right.
What they
So
both
I'm going to
do.
put a switch inside a switch. So what's this switch going to do?
Light sensor.
Light sensor. Which port? Which port?
Which port?
1.
No, I already know what 1 is. I know 1 is white.
2.
So I'm now going to look at 2. So now, that's 1. This one here is 2. If number 1 sees white and number 2 sees white, what should the action be?
Straight.
Straight.
Straight ahead. Again, we're going to stick with the unlimited and in a straight line. Number 1 sees white and number 2 sees black. What should I do?
Turn left.
Turn left. If number 1 sees black, so number 1 sees black, what should I do?
What was the
Turn
second one?
left. Right.
No.
What was this one?
If number 1 sees black, let's go back and have a look at our little pattern here. If number 1 sees black, what should I do?
Left.
Left.
Well, what about this one down here? That one's also number 1 is black. How do I know which one of these do I choose?
You have to do number 2 as well.
Yeah, we've got to check number 2 as well. So if number 1 sees black, let's just check and see what number 2 can give us. So I'm going to pop that one in there, make that one a light sensor. What port's this one going to be on?
No, wrong.
2. Number 1 sees black, number 2 sees white. What should we do?
Turn
1
left.
sees black, 2 sees white.
Turn left.
Turn left.
1 sees black, 2 sees black. So black and black, what does that mean?
Stop. Stop.
Let's throw in a stop in there. Now, don't forget, you'll have to put your threshold values, and your light sensor 1 will have a different threshold value from your light sensor 2s. Does that make sense? NXT guys, off you go. Start putting that together. EV3 guys. Works on exactly the same principle. We are going to put a switch inside a switch. Let me just shrink this down a bit. So the first one, number 1 sees less than, so that's going to be my black. And light sensor, where are you, light sensor? No, sorry, we're color sensor. Color sensor, compare reflected light intensity. So remember with EV3 people, we're currently with a less than. Less than means black's on the top. Less than means black's on the top. So we're going to check port 1 first, and then we're going to check port 2. If I see black and then black, what do I want my robot to do? Right. We're going to stop our robot. We're going to apply the brakes. If I see black and then white, robot's going to turn. Oh, not that one. This one here. If I see white and then black, what should I do in here? We're going to turn the other direction. And if I see white and white, what should I do? Oh, let's make that a color sensor. Reflected light intensity. This one here will be straight ahead. All right, let's give that a go. If you can, have your cameras pointing down towards your little fields. Let's see if we can get this robot working.
So, Damien, may I ask another question?
Go for it.
What's the difference when you're looking at the light sensor from measure or compare?
So measure is just giving you the raw number. Compare allows you to use that threshold value. We're comparing against the value. Measure is typically used with when we're using raw colors, not with reflected light intensity.
Okay, thank you.
All right, wave your hands madly if you've got it working. Nobody yet. You may have to go and get some more sensor values. You may have to get some more sensor values for your light sensor number 2.
In Gladstone, we both only have one light sensor.
So wave your hands if you only got one light sensor.
Yeah, that's us in Gladstone.
Do you only have the one robot today?
Yes.
Can you pinch another sensor off a different robot just for today? Jason, just a quick note. My system here says this session is not being recorded.
It is. It's a different device recording, so it's fine.
No worries. Alrighty, wave your hands madly if you've got it working. Not yet. Wave your hands madly if you're still putting together the program. You're still assembling the program. All right, so people are on to testing now. I'm not after a perfect line follower today. I'm just wanted to see it bounce left and right. So I saw one going in Rockhampton. Gladstone, have we got it going in Gladstone yet?
Running the kids program.
I thought I saw one going with Gladstone. We definitely had a one light sensor following. Billawheeler, how are we going in Billawheeler?
We just changed the sensors and we're ready to go in a second.
Excellent.
How are we building at the moment?
Assembling.
We have a few people trying it in Rockhampton here, Damien. It's a bit hard to see with the screen, so they keep coming over to check exactly what you have here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't make them much bigger than that. If there's any specific block you want to know about, you let me know and I can highlight it. Mackay, how are you going, Mackay?
We had to rebuild the robot, would you believe? So we've got the program ready to go.
You just don't have a robot. That's all right. All right, so I can see a couple going in Rocky, which is fantastic. Gladstone, you're still putting together some bits and pieces?
Yeah, since the EV3 has stuck, it's not. We have shut it down and restarted again, and it is not starting up.
Restarting the robot, okay.
Oh, yes, thank you. That would make a lot of sense.
That's because I'm cheap.
So if you've got it up and running, I want you to have a think about possibly things like turn angles or speed. Is it better to do your turns slower? Is it better to do your forwards fast or slow? And just have a little play around with those different properties and see if you can get your robot following the line a little more smoothly or a little better. Maybe your turn angles. All right, so Billawheeler, you're about to download, are you?
We think, yeah.
We're almost there. It's yep. There she goes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, got it.
Is it working?
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. Billawheeler, I just want you to double check that you've got everything on unlimited. Do you have all
Yeah.
your movement?
Yep. Except for the last one,
Excellent.
it's stop.
All right, see if you can show your robot a double black and see if it'll stop on double black.
Just put it like that. Yeah. No, go back.
Yeah,
go back and then go.
You just drive sideways up the line.
Yep. It stops.
Stop.
Yep.
Excellent. Now, if you just lift it up and move it to double white without restarting the program, what will happen?
Without restarting.
Without restarting.
So get it to double black.
Stops. And then lift
It stopped. Now, do not turn it off. Pick it up and put it on double white.
It's going.
It's going again. Yep, that's because we're in that loop.
It just figured it out.
Right,
Yeah.
just don't
No,
push
it's
away from the camera.
heavier.
Yeah.
Feel
It's
it.
just heavy. Yeah, it's way heavy.
That's why 30's a bit slow.
Yeah, we made the robot too heavy.
No, well, it's not.
It's
Means you need-
It's just We built it as a tank and now it's really heavy.
Yeah.
So you need more power. More power.
Yeah.
More power.
Yeah, we'll put
We'll give
It's just a bit slow for it.
80. 100's about
Bottom line.
50 on a normal robot.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to keep moving on. If you're still building, that's fine. You'll get a chance to keep working on stuff, because what we're going to do is we're just going to augment this particular program. So at the moment, this follows the line, and it follows the line quite nicely. 2 light sensors is a really good way of following a line if you can manage to get another one and get your hold of another light sensor. However, at the moment, how long is this going to follow the line for? When is this going to stop following the line? Anyone?
Still on.
Until it hits double black. No,
Until
until.
if it
No,
never
it'll go
sees,
forever.
how do you know it goes forever?
Because it's got the loop.
It's got the loop. And the loop is currently set up to be a forever loop. Rather than doing a forever loop, what we want to do is we want to say, keep looping, keep line following, line following, line following until something happens. Now let's ignore the green shortcut markers. What's the one other thing in our rescue competition that we need to be thinking about?
Getting the person back.
Yeah, how do we know we're at that spot?
Not sure.
So who's got the little bit of aluminium foil or a bit of silver tape?
Yep, we've got some.
Yep.
Yeah, we got.
So in the rescue competition, what we have a band of silver tape or aluminium foil right at the end, so the robots can see that they've made it to the end. So rather than doing this loop forever, what do I want to do this loop based on?
silver.
Yeah, we want to loop, line follow, line follow, line follow, until we see silver. So what was that? Which one of these we want to choose?
Not
We have to find out the percentage.
sensor.
We're going to do a sensor. Which sensor? Should we do this based on a touch sensor?
No,
No,
light.
not a touch sensor. A
Light.
light sensor.
We'll have to see what percentage of silver is.
That's
Yeah.
right. Now, most important thing down here, are we going to loop until we get a greater than value or a less than value? Is that silver going to give us a big value or a small value?
Big. Probably massive.
Why is it going to give us a bigger value?
It's shiny.
Because it's shiny.
It's nice and shiny. It's going to shine all that red light back. So you will need to take some readings.
Imagine it being 100.
Find out what your threshold value is for silver. For EV3 people, we're working exactly
79.
the same way. Instead of running an unlimited loop, we're going to do a loop based on a color sensor, reflected light, and in this case here, we're going to be looking for a greater than condition. Which sensor are we looking at? Light sensor 1 or light sensor 2?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Your choice. I'm going to choose light sensor 1. I forgot to choose it over here. Light sensor 1 just there. Let's see if I can just move this one along a bit. Light sensor 1. It's probably going to be a high value. Might be, say, greater than 70. There we go. So now, rather than just going line follow, line follow, line follow forever, we're doing line follow until we reach the silver. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. If you don't have a second light sensor, just do the one light sensor line following, but do the same thing at the end there. Instead of doing a forever loop, just do line follow until you reach silver. All right, I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. See how far you get. right, so I can see Billa Wheeler, are you just getting your silver bit ready? Is that right?
Yep.
Yes, we have it ready. We're just working out the threshold at the moment.
Taking readings, excellent.
75.
Mackay, have you finished putting together your robot?
We're just getting this program now, Damien.
Cool. Rocky, I saw a couple people doing some testing, getting some light sensor readings. Everything under control in Rocky?
They're still working on it, Damien.
No worries. And Gladstone, how are we going in Gladstone?
We've got one robot with troubles. It's not connecting up to the computer properly.
It's not turning on?
The firmware version seems to be it's complaining the firmware needs to be upgraded, and I tried to upgrade the firmware, but it's saying the upgrade process failed.
All right, so does your EV, is that an EV3 or an NXT?
EV3.
It's an EV3. So when you turn it on, what does it say on the screen of your EV3?
Starting.
It just says starting. Okay, with your EV3, what I want you to do is hold down the left button, the center button, and the cancel button, all at the same time, all three of them. This is the robot's Control-Alt-Delete. Left button, center button, cancel button, hold that down for 3 seconds. Did that do a reboot?
It's not starting. It's saying starting, but it's still hanging up in there for a long time.
It did turn off and then it's got the same thing.
All right, so it just says starting now.
Damien,
Right. Give it about 20 seconds and see what happens.
Damien, this is
Yeah.
Andy Wheeler. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
To work out the threshold of the silver, what do I calculate? Do I take the black or the white reflection and then the silver reflection, or which one do I add up and find the average?
So what we want to do is we want to tell the difference between silver and everything else. So silver is probably going to be our highest value. What's the next value? What color gives us our next value down?
The white.
The white.
On port 2, tell me
So we want to tell the difference between silver and white. We don't want to tell the difference between silver and black, because what color is in between silver and black?
white.
White's in between silver and black. But we don't want to accidentally pick up white. We want to know what the difference between white and silver is. So let's go halfway in between white and silver.
David, it gives us a reading that's very small. It's just like
Yeah.
1%.
It's 1% higher than the white. The silver is only 1%. On port 2, the silver is only 1% higher than the white.
All right. Your sensors, are they quite angled? They look a little bit angled there. I'm wondering if that light away. Have you got the really, really shiny aluminium foil?
Yeah. Is that shiny?
Yeah.
That's shiny. Just try holding that aluminium foil right next to the light sensors. Give them about 2 or 3 millimeters away. Don't hold it directly underneath.
Okay. Sit on these two.
So is that giving only a little bit, is it?
No, that's giving.
Yeah.
Where the robot sits now, it's giving 63.
And what does it give for white?
What does the white one give you?
The
The
white
white one gives us 64.
And the silver gives you 63.
Yeah.
Can you just tilt this silver up a little bit so it's parallel to how the light sensor is going?
90 degrees, perpendicular.
We want to try and reflect that light back into the sensor.
That's 94.
90. That's
90.
better. That's
Yeah.
better.
So we
what's
just
happening-
straighten up the sensors.
What's happening is that red light is shining down and it's bouncing away.
Out.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so
So we'll make it 90 degrees first. Yep.
90.
All right, not today though. So for today, I'm just going to get you to wave the silver in front of it at an angle so that it sees it. Otherwise, we'll spend too long pulling it apart and rebuilding it.
Understand. Yep, understand.
It's
All right, so Bill Wheeler, I want you to give that a go. See if you can follow a line and then wave the silver in front of it to get it working. All right, so I'm going to cycle through. Mackay look like they're testing. Excellent. Rockhampton are doing testing. Let's watch that one. Whoops, suddenly turned around. Gladstone, has that robot finished booting up?
No, still the same.
All right, that sounds like a dead brick at the moment. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to fix that today. So it just still says just starting up, does it?
Yeah, it started when we downloaded the first program.
And the firmware, is it going ticking along percentage-wise, or it's just stuck?
It just stuck in that starting. Yeah.
Just with that starting one. And if you hold down those three buttons, did it power off and power on again?
Yeah.
It did, but it got stuck at starting up?
Yeah. Just start the battery and then start up again.
All right, I'm just going to quickly look up the update mode keys.
The other robot's working though. Well.
Others, that's good. All right, so Billa Wheeler, did you get that to work? Did it stop on the silver?
We're just testing it now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, Gladstone, I've got a set of instructions for you. Listening very carefully. Hold down the back, center, and right button. Hold down back, center, and right, and keep them held down. When the EV3 brick restarts, release just the back button, but leave the center and right buttons down. When the screen says updating, release the center and the right buttons. Did you get that updating screen?
Let's do it again. So the center, the back, and the right.
And the right. Hold it down until it reboots, and then just release the back button, but leave the center and the right button down.
Not doing anything.
Is it rebooting?
No.
Back, center, and right?
Updating now. Got it updated.
All right. So now that it says updating, click on the download button in the firmware update. So on your software with it plugged in, see if you can download the firmware.
Damien, if you don't mind me butting in for a moment here.
Yep.
I've come across in recent times quite a few NXT bricks and so forth that have appeared to have died and so forth. Now it sounds like that you have some methods to restore it. Is there any chance that we could work collaboratively to put just some information on our website or something about how to try retesting it and getting one up and running? Because, for example, one of the schools that I've been working with recently had 8 NXT kits and 5 weren't working. Now, I managed to get 2 by updating firmware and so forth, but 3 were still failed. So some tips and advice on how to reboot it or reset it and so forth would be greatly appreciated.
Yep. Get me over email for that and we'll put together a resource.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Damien, can I quickly ask a question?
Yes.
It's Villa. We've got ours running. It's all good. Just a quick question. Can we use a color sensor on these NXTs?
You can't use the EV3 color sensor on NXTs. The NXTs do have a color sensor. The problem with color sensors is they're very finely tuned to specific shades. And so unless you can see the exact shade, it may not pick it up. So especially in something like RoboCup Junior, the green that we use in RoboCup Junior is not the green that gets recognized by the LEGO sensors. So it's color sensors in color mode are not the best options for these kind of challenges.
No, just ask him how.
Alrighty, we might keep moving, I think.
Speak out.
So that's the basic ideas. I can see a bunch of people have got that kind of working, which is great. You'll have a bit more time when we all finish up to have more of a play with that one. With that program, I highly recommend you save that program and call it 2 light sensor line following or something like that so that you can bring it back up later. All right, so at the moment here, we're line following until we get to the silver. When we get to the silver, what do we do? At the moment, according to our program, what do we do?
Stop.
Do we actually stop?
Yeah. It stops running.
It stops running. Yes, the program stops running, but the program stopped running. Is that the same thing as the robot stopping?
No.
No. So what we should be doing is when we finish our line following and when we find the silver, we should get our robot to stop. So that'll stop the robot. In terms of the RoboCup Junior Rescue Challenge, once you see the silver, you then need to go looking for the person. So what we could do is after I've stopped the robot, I might just do a little bit of a drive, maybe for, 2 rotations. That then gets me into the center of that green mat. Yep. I'm in the center of the green mat. What do I need to do next?
Find the person.
Yeah, we need to find the person. What sensor are we going to use to find the person? Which sensor could we use to find the person?
The distance sensor.
The distance sensor on the front. So I'm going to say line follow until I get to silver. When it's to silver, stop the motors, drive into the center. What should the robot do now? How does it find the person? What instruction do we need to tell it?
To scan, don't we?
To scan. What do you mean by scan? What is the robot doing when it's scanning?
Turning
Yeah,
right
turning.
and left. Yeah.
I'm going to put a turn in here. I'm going to do a turn to the left. How far should the robot turn?
You can just leave the stop.
Unlimited. Until it sees something.
Yeah, until we see something. I don't want to turn for, say, 10 rotations, because what that means is the robot's going to effectively close its eyes, turn 10 rotations, then open its eyes. So instead, we choose the unlimited, which says turn, unlimited. How do we know to stop turning?
By sensing it.
By sensing it. All right. We're going to grab a wait command. Wave your hands madly if you've used the wait command before.
It swings around.
What am I waiting for?
It's the second one. I've used one.
What am I going to be waiting for?
Till you see something.
Is that time? I'm waiting for touch, light, sound, or distance?
You get time?
Time.
Time?
We use the weight. You time it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be time. I don't want to turn for 5 seconds.
Sensor.
Yeah, it's sense.
Sensor, distance sensor. So I'm going to grab that distance sensor and just drop it there. As it's turning, is it looking for a greater than distance or a less than distance?
Motion. Would it be a rotation sensor?
A less than distance. Less than how much? Let's keep it fairly small. I'm going to make it around about 20 centimeters.
Are you sure you clicked on that one?
If the person's here.
After it sees the object, less than 20 centimeters, what should the robot do?
Go towards it.
Let's just take it one step back. Let's just take it one step back and just say, how do I know that it's seen the object? What should I do?
Oh, no. That's
We're just going to make it stop.
Make it stop. Are you with us, man?
Yeah, I'm
So this is now saying line follow, line follow, line follow until I see silver. Stop the robot. Drive into the middle. Start turning until I see something less than, and then stop the robot. So that should end up pointing towards our little victim, our little soft drink can. In EV3, we do it exactly the same way. So this will give me line following, line following, line following until I see the silver. I'm then going to stop the robot. Drive forward, say, about 2 rotations. Feel free to change these things to suit your robot. And then I'm going to start doing a turnaround. So move steering block, turn to the left. And this one I'm going to choose as the on function. Because again, I'm just turning until I see an object.
And how aggressive would you recommend for the turning, Damien, power-wise?
It depends on your robot, depends on the size of your wheels, the spacing of your wheels, all those sorts of things. There is no magic number. This is just play with it until you figure out what works best. So this one here in EV3, I'm turning, and I'm waiting until I can see something. So ultrasonic sensor, compare the centimeters. Remind me again, am I waiting for a greater than or am I waiting for a less than?
Less than.
This one's going to be a less than because the object's going to be closer. I'm going to say less than, say, 20 centimeters. And after that, I'm going to make the robot stop. So with EV3 now, we are, let me just drag that back that way. With the EV3, we are line following until we see silver. When we see silver, stop the robot, drive forward a couple of rotations, and start spinning until I see an object. When I see an object, just stop the robot. Oh, can't get that any smaller. All right, so people should be putting that together now. Gladstone, how do we go with that? What, did it finally decide to update its firmware?
Yes.
All right, happy about that.
Damien, now might be a good time to remind people that the ultrasonic sensor is not part of the retail EV3 software, so they may have to download it.
You might have to use... All right, so what Jason's saying there is that the ultrasonic sensor is the standard sensor when you buy the education kit for EV3. If you have a retail kit for EV3, you will have instead an infrared sensor. If that is the case, then what you need to do, instead of choosing the ultrasonic sensor one, you choose the infrared sensor one. The infrared sensor one doesn't have as great a range as the ultrasonic one, so everything's just a little bit closer.
Also, just to that, Damien, is that some people who may have the actual education kit but installed the retail software because it's free and easy to download from the Lego website, so they just need to actually install the additional sensor module which can be found. Yes.
Thank you, Jason. So on the Lego website, if you have downloaded the retail software, there is an extra block that you need to install so that you can use the ultrasonic sensor. All right, so I'm going to do a quick run through. Billa Wheeler, how are we going?
I'm going to request.
It's not spinning. Oh, maybe.
That's straight.
It's not spinning yet.
All right, so does it follow the line to silver?
Yeah, it finds a silver.
Yeah, finds silver, drives forward, and then doesn't turn around?
No.
All right, so the question now is, you're only turning until you see a value less than a particular amount. What is your threshold to see the object? What have you got that set up as at the moment?
To see the object.
So I'm looking for this distance
Less than
sensor.
20.
Less than 20 what?
Centimeters.
You're definitely on centimeters?
Yep.
All right, so what I want you to do is with your robot, hold your robot up so the ultrasonic eyes are just pointing into empty space. Hold it up so it's pointing into empty space. Make sure it's not pointing towards anyone. All right, press the run button. Hold it in the air.
Up in the air. Not to the table either. Up in the air.
Up in the air. Right.
Yep, off the table.
Off the table. Off the table.
Press the run button. I should be hearing line following. Oh, I can turn it on first.
Okay. Look up.
No, did you plug it back in?
No, you don't have to. No, you want to look it up.
So no, just keep it up in the air, up in the air.
Up in the air.
All right. Can you just run that one again for me?
Up in the air.
Yep.
And just keep it up in the air. That's it. Run it for me.
We've got it to follow the line first.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So what we're going to do is grab you a bit of silver, and while it thinks it's following the line, we're going to wave the silver underneath it.
Yep.
So keep... All right. What I'm going to get you guys to do, looking here at the program, at the moment line follows until it sees silver. As soon as it sees silver and it stops the robot, we're going to put a sound effect in.
There's no straight on that one. There's nothing on that one.
I want that sound effect to say, good job. Then what I want to do, it'll drive into the middle, and before it starts turning, it's going to say another sound effect. It's going to say, good morning.
And sound effect.
Then it will start turning until it sees an object and stop. And after it finishes seeing the object and stopping, we're going to put another sound effect at the very end that says goodbye.
Not the right sound effect.
So what we're doing here, guys, is what's called debugging. I actually don't know what your problem is. But by putting these little sound effects in, we can try and figure out whereabouts the program is getting up to.
You need that.
It will stop when it
You need
says.
that one. No, you need the.
That-
You need the.
That's what we're hoping. Oh, what port is your ultrasonic sensor plugged into?
What's it plugged into?
1. No.
It's not plugged in.
Oh, that's our problem.
It's not plugged in?
The setting one has to go there.
That should hopefully fix it. All right, Mackay, how are you guys going?
Yeah.
See up there, the sound effect is after
Mackay, how are you guys going?
Yeah, there we go.
That's okay.
That's so funny.
Mackay, I think you're still muted. Are you guys under control?
You told me to lock that off.
Yeah, we're getting it sorted, Damien, thanks.
Good. Any questions?
It's all good. We haven't got an ultrasonic, so we're going to improvise.
Use a touch sensor.
Hey, no worries.
Rockhampton, how are we going in Rockhampton?
Not so good. They're working on it.
Working on it. Any questions, or they've got some ideas to test out?
So we've got one that's managed to accomplish it on the NXT, and 2 that's currently running EV3 that are currently debugging as we speak.
Gladstone, just now the first program, just the single sensor one, but the motors are not working. I'm just checking they are on the good spot.
So check the ports. What ports do you have your motors plugged into at the back of the robot?
Yeah, B and C.
And then check your program. Your program says B and C?
Yes.
Just check your plugs are plugged all the way in. Sometimes those cables hang a little bit loose. You should get a nice click as that little locking latch goes in. Sorry, I missed that. Can you say that one again?
Is there any specific power value that we need to use? It's got 15 for the power.
15 for the power?
50.
50 should be enough power to go. Just try a new open up a brand new program, keep the same project, but just that little plus button, open up a new program and just say drive forward for 5 rotations. Bill Wheeler, how are you guys going?
Just testing again.
Oops. Yeah, we got it.
It didn't spin though.
It didn't spin?
It didn't need to. It sensed it.
Because it was right in front of it.
Try running it again, and this time put the can in a place where it has to spin.
Put it on its side.
Put it here. So it has to spin.
Yeah, so it has to spin. But it's like 20 centimeters. Wait, it's not 20 centimeters.
Wait, everybody get 12.
No, you're supposed to make it turn.
No, you gotta let it spin.
Yeah. Okay. You gotta take the paper away.
And everyone has to move.
Take the paper away.
No. It's
No,
not
that's it.
spinning.
Gladstone, we're driving now, are we?
It's not spinning.
So Gladstone, I saw one robot there turn towards an object and stop. That's excellent.
It tends to overshoot a little bit though.
Yeah, you'll find with the ultrasonic sensor, the ultrasonic sound waves, they spread out as they travel, and you just have to compensate for that. So perhaps as soon as you see an object, just turn back a little bit. Perhaps you need to slow down your turning.
Damien,
Yes.
can you scroll back with your NXT program, please, to the loop?
I didn't know what to bring, so.
Thank you.
Was that success in Rocky I just saw?
It stopped and went ahead too quickly and missed the can. So Damien, if you could spare me a moment, can you go through the logic between the exit of the loop, so i.e. it's found the silver? I just want to see that logic again on the EV3 software, please.
On the EV3? So with our EV3, there is our 2 light sensor line following. Sure. And as we're following the line, our loop, this is what we call a loop condition.
Yes.
Normally, or the default, is just to loop unlimited, and that would make you follow the line forever. But we don't want to follow the line forever. We want to follow the line until some condition occurs with our color sensor. And in our case, based on reflected light intensity. Now, the silver foil is going to give you a much higher light reflectivity. And so we're looking for a value that is greater than. So I've chosen the greater than condition, a particular number. So if your silver is around about the 90%, then you're probably looking for a value greater than around about 80%. Anything greater than 80 is going to be silver. Anything less than 80 is not going to be silver. It's going to be white or black. Okay, and as soon as that condition has been met, we then break out a loop and start doing our next set of instructions. So in my case here, stopping the robot, driving into the center, starting to spin around until I see that object.
Cool, thank you.
Damien, when we drive the robot into the centre, is the victim in the centre?
No, the victim Victim is randomly placed and can be absolutely anywhere, and that'll be the judge's discretion.
So we could run into the thing while we're driving into the centre.
Quite possibly. So perhaps driving 2 rotations is not the smartest thing to do. What you'll need to do is figure out, based on what you already know, how to get around that. A quick little hint for you, everyone just watching up here. What we can do when we are following the line, as soon as we see silver and then stop the robot, it's always really handy to throw in something like a sound. So I'm going to put in a little sound effect in here, Lego sound effects. I'm going to put in some communication, and I'm just going to say, fantastic. And what this means is it's going to go line follow until it sees silver. And then what will happen as soon as it sees silver? It'll say fantastic. What happens if it doesn't say fantastic when it sees silver? It means we've probably got a problem around about here. So by having that fantastic in there, it allows us to try and isolate what the problem is. If it's just following the line randomly, and then all of a sudden it says fantastic before it got to the silver, again, it means there's a problem here and it's accidentally detecting silver. Emma, how'd you go? Did that one work?
Just stopping a little bit too early, Damien. So what we're going to do is when it finds the can, actually turn a little bit more before going straight.
To compensate for that extra bit, yep. Gladstone, how'd we go? Did we get that robot driving both motors?
Yes, it is, but only for a small day.
Bill Wheeler, are you happy with how yours is going?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Good. Mackay, how are you going?
Yeah, we're good now, Damien, thanks.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
Yep.
They got it.
It's good. Yeah.
Okay, do it. Oh, yeah, we can't.
Damien Billy-Wheeler again, what are we actually rescuing that day? Is it just an empty drink can, is it?
Empty drink can. So in the so it's split into 3 different divisions. The very bottom division is just push the drink can outside of the green area. The next division up is to actually grab the drink can, and the top division for our what we call our open rescue, for those people that have been doing it for a few years, is to grab the drink can and lift it up onto a platform.
Oh.
But the basic is just to identify the victim and push them to safety by pushing them outside the green zone.
Okay.
So if we practice with a drink can we use any color? It doesn't matter whether it's Coke or Pepsi or whatever?
Take your drink can and coat it in aluminium foil.
Oh, okay.
And that way, and then put a bit of rice in the bottom as well. I think it's 100 or 150 grams of rice.
Okay.
To give it a bit of weight.
And it's just standing up straight, is it?
Yes, just standing up straight.
Okay, I will do that one. Yeah.
What's the division?
What division? Yeah, division 2.
No, just do Division 1. You just push it outside the green.
What's the divisions?
It's primary, secondary, and then open. Jump on the website, download the rules.
Yeah.
www.robocupjunior.org.au. Download the rules, and it'll give you the breakdown of each of the different divisions.
Yep.
Yep.
So, Damien, just to confirm, I guess for the higher levels, I noticed as a new entrant this year for the open rescue that there is also a dummy capsule.
Yes, we probably won't run that in Rocky this year.
Okay.
At the moment.
I will confirm that and let everyone know on the list, because when we had some people looking the other day, it was the first we've noticed it, and that's, I guess so it's just new this year, and we won't run it at our
not at the regional one. I'll put together a list of variations that we'll run for regional, and I'll email them through to you to go out to the list.
Fantastic, thank you.
Alrighty, I think we're going to move on. Gladstone, got a couple of issues there. We'll see if we can find some time to fix those up, but our robot's working. That's always a good thing. All right, guys. I'm going to get you to watch up here. So last thing we're going to go through is the trickiest thing of all is the green shortcut markers. So on the course that we have set up for the RoboCupJunior Australia Rescue competition, you'll find that on some of the paths, so for example,
I'll show a tile at my camera, Damien.
Yep, that's the one there that Jason's got. You've got those little green shortcut markers. And what those green shortcut markers are saying to the robot is if you go this way, it is a better path to go. You don't have to take the shortcut markers if you don't want to. You can have a robot that comes along here and around the outside and heads off down the line. But if you take the correct shortcut markers, you pick up extra points. Programming a robot to take the shortcut markers is tricky. There's certainly not an easy way of doing it. So what you guys have got at the moment are the basics of line following and doing rescue. Once you can do that really, really well, then you start looking to try and solve the green ones. So I'm going to take you through the basics. We're probably not going to have enough time to have a play with it, but I'm going to show you how you approach it. So let's suppose that I took some readings here. I've got my black reading was 40. I had white as being 60, and let's suppose that I had silver as being 80. Just take a rough guess. Where do you think green falls into this pattern? Any ideas from anyone?
Between silver and white.
Between silver and white, really?
White and black. Oh no, white and black.
Between white and black. Between white and black, you get green. And I'm just going to roughly choose 50.
Because it's more dimmer, but it's not black.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we can tell our robot the difference between black and white. And if it sees black, it does one thing. If it sees white, it does another thing. However, we need to now try and tell the difference between black, green, and white. So if I have a look at these, I've got 40, 50, and 60. If I needed to make a decision, so this is based on light sensor 1. Based on light sensor 1, I'm going to pick my first threshold. I want to tell the difference between white and everything else. What is my threshold between white and everything else? What number do I need to choose? What number would I need to choose?
45.
Not 45, between white and everything else.
55.
55, good. If my robot gives me a reading greater than 55, what does that mean it's on? Greater than 55, what does that mean it's on?
White.
It's on white. If it's
Or
less
silver.
than 55, if it's less than 55, what does that mean it's on?
Black or green.
Green or black. And I don't know. And because I don't know, what should I do?
Find the
Test.
threshold for the green and black.
What is my second threshold going to be? 45. So what I'm going to end up with, I'm going to have black. Is anything less than 45? Green
No.
is going to be anything between 45 and 55.
And white's going to be 55 and above.
And white's going to be anything more than 55. All right, so how do you actually do that in a program? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start up a new program. So I'm going to keep all that the same, start a new program, just to play around with the green ones. So with the green one, I'm going to start with making the decision.
Can you switch back to computer, please?
Oh, thank you. So I have started a new program. So there's my old program, here's my new program. I'm going to start off by making a decision based on a light sensor. And in this case here, my threshold, the first one I'm going to choose, is going to be 55. If it is greater than 55, so I've got the little white, sorry, the bright sun there. If it's greater than 55, what does that mean? If it's greater than 55, what do we say that means?
White.
Means it's white. So I'm actually going to put in this little test program here where I am going to say white. So if the robot sees the white color, it's going to say white. If it sees less than 55, darker than 55, what should it do?
Green. Green.
No, not green.
Black. Black.
No, not black.
Less than 55.
Less than 55. It's not definitely green. It's not definitely black. What is it?
Green,
In between.
It's green or black. We don't know. And if I don't know, what should I do down here?
Settings it. How do you see the sound? Sound. See the sound.
Don't. We just figure out the threshold.
This makes that decision based on white or anything that's not white. So after I decide, yeah, okay, it's not white, it must be green or black, I'm going to make another decision. So this second decision is going to be based on a light sensor again. What's my threshold value now? What am I trying to tell the difference between? I already know white. What am I trying to tell the difference between now?
Black and green.
Black and green. So this one here, my threshold for black and green is going to be 45. So if I now make this one 45, if it's less than 45, what color are we on? If it gets a reading less than 45, what color are we on? Black. So I'm going to pop a black down here. It's going to say the words black. However, if it is less than 55, my first decision, but it is greater than 45, what does that mean? What's in here? Anyone?
Green.
It's going to be green. So this one's going to say green. I'm going to put this in the loop. Based on this program here, is my robot driving anywhere? Nope, not driving anywhere at all. So all we're going to be doing is showing it different colors. So if you pick your robot up and put it down on different colors, it should say those different words. Let's do the same thing with EV3. Create a new program. Grab a switch block. Switch based on color sensor. Compare the reflected light. I'm going to switch this around to make it a greater than. If it's greater than 55, we are going to do a sound effect that says white. White. If it is not greater than 55, that means I'm on either black or green. So let's make another decision. This decision will be based also on the color sensor. Compare reflected light intensity. And this one will be greater than 45. So if it's less than 55, but greater than 45, that must mean it's on green. Green. If it is less than 55 and it is less than 45, then that must mean it's on black. Black. And I put this whole thing inside a loop, so it constantly keeps checking to see what color it's on. Oh, didn't like that at all. There we go. Does that make sense to everybody? Wave your hands madly in the air if that makes sense to you. Good. We need to pack up very, very soon. So like I said right at the start, the aim of today is just to show you the basics behind a lot of these different parts. This is not the only way to solve this challenge. There are many, many ways of solving this challenge, but this is just one way of doing it. Once you can identify between the black, the green, and the white, you can then start asking the question, well, what do you want the robot to do for each of these colors? So in previous programs, we have said, when the robot sees white and then white, go forward. But you might want to have a think about, well, what happens if we see white and then green? Or what happens if we see green and then white? And then that will be able to tell you what side that shortcut marker is on. And from that, you can then decide, well, do I need to do a turn left? Do I need to do a turn right? The green shortcuts are tough. They are certainly a challenge to try and solve, and to try and solve reliably.
Damo, just letting you know, I actually have this booked for half an hour more, so if we go over 5 minutes, that's fine. Question for, but generally, what would you expect to do when you get, if using the two sensors and you get a black and black reading? Which obviously, in the program you showed today, you've got it to stop. Obviously, you know, there are different things that may or may not occur. Using the shortcuts might help. But if you're not getting the shortcuts right and you see black and stop, obviously that's going to fail.
Yep, I would probably just put in a little drive forward. If I see black and black, I've hit an intersection or I've hit a green shortcut marker, just drive forward a little bit and then pick up the line again on the other side. That's usually the best way around that one.
But wouldn't it be the case if it drives over it that, say you've got a T intersection and you've driven over it, both sensors are on the wrong side of the line and there's no line in between the middle?
What you'll find is that when it hits the T intersection, it won't hit it square on because of that shortcut marker. It'll actually angle around a little bit to the shortcut marker because it's going to assume the shortcut marker is black.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, whilst we, I guess, begin to round this up, does anyone have any questions? We might actually go around the rooms and start in Mackay. So, Mackay, do you have any particular questions that you'd like to ask Damien?
No, we're pretty good, thanks, Jason. That was great. So, thanks very much for that, Damien.
No problem.
Continuing along, Mackay, any questions in Mackay?
We just did Mackay.
Okay, so what about Billawheeler?
Damien, yeah, we're pretty good, but we'll probably have to go because I need to get the students back to school.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming, and we will be making this recording available for if you'd like to go over it again and you know, refresh some of the ideas. And Rockhampton, any questions here?
Thank you so much again. Bye-bye.
Been very good.
Okay. Well, thank you, Damien. I've got a lot of appreciative people here. I really appreciate your time for showing this, and I know for a fact that this resource will be useful for not only the people that attended today, but also others on the mailing list and so forth who can get access to this recording. So thank you very, very much for coming, and I'd just like everyone to give Damien a round of applause and say thanks.
No worries. Make sure you're signed up on the mailing list because I'm always on the mailing list. Feel free to ask questions at any time.